Okay, so good morning, everybody. Today I'll talk about refactoring in Delphi. It will mostly be a hands-on session, so very little slides, lots of IDE and programming. Let's see if this works. Yes. So what is refactoring? Well, the people do not completely agree about that. Martin Fowler, who's a legend in refactoring, UML, patterns, and so on, said that refactoring is just improving the design. When you speak to people, the popular meaning behind refactoring is that it's a way to modify your code so that the meaning of the code stays the same. So you change the code and it still works exactly as before. And I will go slightly broader today. In my talk, refactoring is every automated code change. So the programs will do something for you so that you don't have to do it. You all code in Delphi, so you are all used to lots of typing, about twice or thrice as much as in C. And I want to show you that programming in Delphi doesn't have to be all that finger intensive. You can use your computer to do some work for you. I will present 3 tools: Delphi itself, Model Maker, Code Explorer, and Castalia. And to start with the first one, what tools do we have in Delphi that can help us with refactoring? First, very basic but very useful is SyncEdit, which is not a real refactoring tool because it's quite easy to break the code while using it. But it's there, and if used with care, it can help. The second is the refactor menu. Oops. Whoa. Which you've probably seen before. In older Delphi's, refactoring was very much based on project modeling. So you had to enable modeling, and that meant that everything in the IDE would become very slow suddenly. Well, in newer Delphi's, XE and XE2, the refactor tools are not anymore based on the modeling. And the modeling itself, which I will also talk about, has become much faster, or maybe just the computers are that much faster these days. I don't really know. The Model Maker Code Explorer is a smaller brother of big Model Maker tool, which is a UML modeling tool. I won't go into it. Helps you with refactoring, navigation in the project, code documentation, search, and a few other minor things. And it works with Delphi 5 and newer. And what is quite important is that Delphi's refactor is based on the compiler. So if your code doesn't compile, the refactor tool typically won't work. But the Model Maker refactor is based on this guy's own parser, which is pretty permissive, so you can use it while you are still typing in the new code. If the code doesn't yet compile, this will typically work. And it's very big difference. This is a pay tool. I forgot to check what's the price those days. It's around €100, I think, but I'm not really sure. And then there's a Castalia. If you are old-timer in Delphi, you may remember CodeRush development tool. The guy went then to DevExpress and is now working on .NET version of his tool, Mark Miller. Castalia does something very similar. It offers extensive syntax highlighting. You'll see then later in the demo. Navigation, very good code analysis, and also refactoring. It's also available for Delphi 5 and York. And you can get it at Desk Castalia. And it also works on a code that doesn't yet fully compile. Although I think it's more restrictive in this area than Model Maker. So these are the 3 tools I will talk about. And what I will show in the demo is how to use the refactoring tools to work with variables, to work with fields, to add them, modify them, rename them, and so on. How to work with methods, create methods, rename methods, move methods around. Same with classes in the interfaces. I will go into other topics of code modification, and we'll take a look at modeling as it is built in the Delphi. So this is all I have of slides. And I have to fetch my script because I'll forget to tell you something important. Otherwise, I need exit 2 because I'm running trial version of Castalia today. You can get both Model Maker, Code Explorer, and Castalia in 30-day trial versions. You can test them out. They both install in Delphi, so you have Code Explorer stuff, you have Castalia stuff. And let's start with the basics. So I just create empty project, name doesn't matter, and we'll write some test declaration, test code. Well, if I press Ctrl-Shift-C, that's something that's built in Delphi for a long time, and you can also say this is a refactoring, because Delphi created a method body for you. So I said we'll start with variables. I start by defining the value. You have this nice refactoring built in Delphi. I can say refactor declare. And it will be of type integer, so I can just press OK. And Delphi did the var type part for me. So in reality, I would not go to the menu. I would type Ctrl-Shift-V, enter. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 keys I pressed to declare a variable. You don't have to type everything there. As I said, sync edit can be used to simply rename a variable. So what's the Ctrl-Shift-J? I can say, if you don't know sync edit, with sync edit, you mark a part of code and then call the sync edit Ctrl-Shift-J, and it will mark all tokens that are same. In this case, I only have one variable called longer name, and it will mark both parts. If I change anything in one place, it will change also it in the other. So I can, and then I exit with escape. I can simply edit the code and rename. Well, this little triangle, this is Castalia jumping in and saying, I can something to offer you. And if I click this, I have here a menu. I can also use it to, let's say, rename. And it works just the same as sync edit. I can also use Delphi's rename, refactor rename, or Ctrl-Shift-E. and go back to the original name, for example. If you noticed, it said here, view references before refactoring, and by default, this is turned on. So when I say OK, nothing really happens. The variable is still named name42, but down here below, I have this list which says, you told me to rename variable, I will change it in those two places. So you can then click this Rubik's Cube button, and this will be really executed. So it's now called I. Other option is to disable this, and everything will happen automatically. In some more complicated cases, it's desirable that you check first what will happen. Okay, let me just put this back down. Another example is introduce variable. Let's say I have something like this in the code. I will add those two together. Okay, let's declare this one first. Ctrl-Shift-V, Enter. And then I decide that this really should be a new variable. So I can mark it and say refactor introduce variable. It will ask me for the name. Let's say it's string representation of the sum. It declared new variable, and it set its value, and down here, it replaced the code with the new name. Let's revert this a little. So if I have something like this, okay, this is now very stupid code. If I do this in Model Maker, I have option, and wait, where is it? Add explaining variable, it is called. This means please add a variable which explains some other expression. It works just the same like Delphi, but it will also notice that I have two pieces in the code where this b plus longer is used, here and here. And it will ask me if I want to replace all those occurrences. So let's call it new sum, which is integer. It has some problems finding desired type. So you typically have to tell it what the new variable which should be typed. So, okay, it declared a new temporary variable which holds this expression and replaced this expression in both places with the new variable. And also I can do something similar in Castalia. So this is built in all tools. I can do here introduce variable. Well, Castalia somehow doesn't declare the variable type. I have to do it manually, but it's there. There's also a reverse option. So if I delete some of this stuff, if I have a code that goes something like I don't have variable a yet. Oops, it's not the object, it's integer. I can go here and say inline variable. Inlining a variable is reverse to the introduce explaining variable. That is, it fetches the, sorry, I should turn this around. It looks in the code, finds out how the C is declared, and puts this declaration in those expressions. So if I do inline variable, says 2 occurrences, please inline this variable for me. So it replaced all occurrences of C with the 17, because C was assigned a constant before. And it also nicely removed C for me. The same refactoring is available in Castalia, and I think not in the model maker, but you can use the Delphis. So while I'm at the topic, you can see here split temporary variable. So if you are changing some old code, it's quite typical that you will find code mess everywhere and stuff that goes like do something, and later in the code you will notice that the same variable is used. You are late, people. The same variable is used for something else. This is a bad code smell, using one variable for 2 different things in the same method. Usually after 1 week you don't understand anymore why you did this, in which value of I is the right one at one place in the code, and so on. So Castalia offers the split. Okay, I have to declare this I first. It offers split temporary variable function. I will just rename the second one to J. So I now have first variable called I and second called J. And to make this demo slightly better, let's say it becomes C, and let's say it becomes E here. So if I now split it to J, A is assigned value of I here, and A is assigned value of J here. So with one click, you made your code more readable.
So, sorry, so
yes.
It goes from there down?
Yes, from there down, and it will replace the variable from this point on. And if I had a second I there, it would change it into something else again. In this example, this is stupid, but if you have a code that goes over 10 screens and uses the same variable for 5 different purposes, then this can help you a lot. And also something very nice that comes only with Castalia is remove unused variables. So one click and everything I was using for demo but is not referred to anymore is gone. So nice cleanup tool. In Delphi, okay, there's nothing here. Same that goes for variables goes for fields. So I can do declare field with the Delphi refactoring, and it will add this field as, let's say, protect it up to my form. So it's here.